Hi and welcome to the final session of Wonder Zone. Today is called The Possibility of Robots, and we're going to be thinking about robots, computers and artificial intelligence, or AI. But what are these things? Well, a robot is a machine that looks like a person and can do certain things that people can do. What's a computer? Well, we've probably all got computers at home nowadays and we use them at school. A computer is a machine that we give instructions to so that it can do certain things. And AI, what's AI, or artificial intelligence? Well, AI is the ability of a machine to do things in a human way. It does this by learning in a particular way, a way that only a machine can. We learn by studying things, experiencing things, touching things, being told something and remembering it. But AI needs to learn in a certain way. It needs to be given lots of examples. So if we wanted AI to know what a dog is, we'd need to give it thousands of pictures of a dog, different pictures of dogs. And we'd also need to give it thousands of pictures of what's not a dog. And AI can look at these pictures and sort them out and work out what a dog is. AI makes computers do things that humans can do. So that's seeing or recognizing what someone is saying, making decisions or translating languages. But all of this is programmed from people like you and I. That's what makes computers, or one of the things that makes computers and AI very different from us. They need to be programmed by us. They don't have their own ability without humans starting the ball rolling. AI is not human. It doesn't have the ability to develop social skills like us. It doesn't have compassion. It doesn't love. But AI can do certain amazing things that not even humans can do, like complicated maths. And AI helps make our world run in the way it does today. You might have AI, chances are you have AI in your home. Your grown-up, one of your grown-ups, or all the grown-ups that live in your house might have AI in their phone, for example. I've got my phone here today. They might have Siri, and this is from Apple, or Google Assistant, or Cortana, which is from Microsoft, or Alexa, which is from Amazon. And all these devices are AI on our phone or in certain devices in our homes are voices that we can ask questions of, computerized voices that we ask questions of, and we can get an answer. And these devices learn, are able to recognize our voices and learn from what we say and how we say it. It's fascinating. And we're going to talk to Chris now, and he's got a device called Alexa, and he's going to show us how it works. So Chris, thank you for having me round to talk about AI. Now we've got with us your Alexa. Can you explain to us what an Alexa actually is? I've just woken it up, look, it's lit up. Can you explain what it is?
I can, yeah, sure. So for those of you that don't know what Alexa is an artificial intelligence device that lives in the house, and she is very much part of the family. And so Alexa will, for example, take our shopping lists. She will remember our most favourite moments, so whether that's from birthday parties and so particular playlists and songs. She is a teacher, and so often when the children want to know something that mummy and daddy don't know, they can ask Alexa, who will develop that learning even further for them. If we want to know, for example, what the weather's like for our day in the New Forest, and we haven't been to the New Forest thus far yet, we'll ask Alexa and she'll be able to tell us what the weather's like ahead of our journey.
Wow.
Or if we travel up to London, which we often do, we'll ask Alexa what the traffic's like, and she'll tell us exactly where the pinch points are and prepare us for our journey. So she's absolutely really a part of the family.
Do you treat her like a person?
Well, good question. I mean, obviously she's not a person, but actually to some extent she has a personality. And so what we've learned over the period of time of having her, and we had her now for about 2.5 years, is that she has learnt about our family voices. So she recognises family voices, So when we first bought her, she would struggle perhaps to understand some of the intonation or the inflection on your voice, whereas actually she's learned over the years to hone in on that. So actually now we can call on her to pretty much ask her to do anything and she'll instantly have that response. I mean, she'll still not know everything that there is to know, but she'll certainly pinpoint you in the direction of what you do want to know.
So you turn her off when you're having a private conversation, perhaps?
Yeah, absolutely, because again, she's very sensitive and her ears are very big, and so has a lot of memory to store things that you perhaps wouldn't necessarily always want anybody in the world knowing. Because I think that's really important, is that although we do treat her like a member of the family and we use her at all sorts of social occasions, effectively she is a piece of the World Wide Web, you know, and so just as you protect yourself on going on your mobile phone or on your iPad or on your laptop, you need to be mindful of the dangers that potentially Alexa has, and that's something we often with the children make sure that we're very mindful of.
But anything you've noticed that she's not particularly good at, not as good as a person?
Well, again, if we invite people into our house, so Dan, if you were here and you were having a party and you wanted to change the track, or you wanted, she might not pick up on your voice straight away, and that's because she's not being rude. She just doesn't quite understand the intonation on your voice, whereas she's learnt to hone in on, and that's the clever piece of AI, that she's learnt to understand the tone of voice or the intonation that she might not necessarily pick up on you straight away. So that's something that is not a flaw, but you know, like when you meet anybody new that has a new accent or a new dialect of language, you might have to hone in on that for a little short while.
Now, you're a teacher and you know quite a bit about AI and robots and computers and things like that. Do you have AI in school?
We do. We have lots of AI in school. In fact, we have AI programs, and so I'm sure some of the children will have used things like Sparks Maths or SentryLearn. So what Sparks Maths does, for example, is it will take you and I on a journey through our addition or our multiplication or through long division. But because you are far more cleverer than I am, Dan, it will diversify the learning. And so you, for example, will have far more long division aspects of sums, or you there might be less graphs and more writing, where for me, I need a little bit more help, and it would give me some pictures or some further support, or the language might be broken down, so it's easier for me to understand and engage with that. And that's why AI is so clever, because often in schools we need to differentiate our learning, and so the children will know that sometimes they're on a red table or a blue table, or sometimes they'll go out and have some extra support with a learning support assistant. And what that is really good for is making sure that everybody is learning so that they're able to make progress. But what Alexa does, or what SentryLearn or Sparks Maths does, is be able to support every individual real time in their learning, so that we can all make progress together. Another thing we do is we use VR, so virtual reality. And
so these are headsets?
That's right. Yeah. So putting on the headset, where again some of the children will have used them, I'm sure. Often you can buy them with your mobile phone and you can explore various worlds. But what we use them for at school is to for example, if we're looking at history, or we're looking at the trenches, or we're exploring space, we might say to the children, well, let's get out there and explore that together. And so putting on the VR together, putting on the headset and exploring the whole galaxy and looking at the different planets, or if we're looking at underwater learning in geography and looking at coastal erosion, we might want to explore what the sea life is in Stokes Bay, or what the trenches look like during the war, and what they smell like and how they feel, is very much part of how AI is going to develop in the next sort of 5 to 10 years. Smell is definitely something that scientists are currently looking into with VR, so that it absolutely becomes part of the package. And I think it's important how each of these different forms of AI work together. And so, for example, if we were having a science classroom now and we had children learning on their Chromebooks, the children might want to ask a question that perhaps the teacher didn't know, or perhaps they didn't understand. Using Alexa in that way could facilitate the development of that learning even further. And so actually at home, if we're doing homework and we're on SentryLearn, or we're on Sparks Maths, or we're even, you know, something like Bedrock Learning, or there's so many apps, Rockstar Times Tables, I'm sure some of the children will have used it in primary school. Those programs can be supported with Alexa. So Jacob and Amelia, for example, will be doing their homework, and again, if they're not clear on something or want to develop that or know a bit more, they'll ask Alexa before they ask me and Claire. Which is fantastic. So again, coming back to Alexa, she's very much part of the family.
So you've said a little bit about this already, but what is the future, in your opinion, of AI? Where do you see it going?
Well, I think we're seeing AI in so many things. As adults, you know, we're seeing AI starting to creep into our cars. And so, for example, the machines, the robots that are built into our cars now will enable a car to park itself, or will enable us to find a journey and map that journey and drive the car. And so having autonomous vehicles, certainly within the next 5 years, with cars driving themselves on the road, that's going to be a bit scary because, you know, effectively we're saying that we're all going to be chauffeured around by Alexas.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we're going, and how then we take Alexa into the shops. So you know, we already see some of that now. If we buy something on Amazon or a film on the TV with through one of the apps, we know that so many of those digital platforms will learn so much about us. So, for example, for our parents at home who are doing some shopping on Amazon, we'll sign on. So, for example, if I'm buying something for Jacob and Amelia's birthday, Amazon will tell me what I think Jacob and Amelia would want for their birthday even before I've accessed the app. And so I'll get some notifications, I'll be told, I might see some pictures on some streams that I follow before I then access the app, where it will have it already boxed up, ready for me to buy. And that's really, really exciting. But at the same time, we need to be mindful of the potential dangers that has, and we need to be responsible and make sure that we've asked parents' permission before we then use certain apps.
It's up to parents to
monitor
for settings on, so we don't do things we don't want to do.
Absolutely. And that's why we come back to the fact that sometimes we just switch Alexa off, because we realise that re-establishing, rebalancing the life with reality and virtual reality is a balance, a fine balance, and I think that's
your boundaries.
That's really key. Absolutely.
Chris, it's been really good to chat with you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Our final Bible reading of the week is from the Jesus Storybook Bible, and it's called Running Away. Jesus told this story about a boy who ran away. Once upon a time, there was a boy and his dad. Now one day, the boy gets thinking, maybe if I didn't have my dad around telling me what I should do and what's good for me, I'll be happier. He's spoiling my son, he thinks. Does my dad really want me to be happy? Does my dad really love me? The son never thought of that before, but suddenly he doesn't know anymore. So the son goes to his father and says, Dad, I'm better off without you. I can look after myself. Just give me my share of your money. His father is sad, but he won't force his boy to stay, so he gives his son what he wants. The son takes the money and goes on a long, long journey to a faraway country. And everything's wonderful and perfect for a while. He can go wherever he wants, do whatever he wants, be whoever he wants. He is the boss. He is free. Sometimes he gets a strange, hungry, homesick feeling inside his heart, but then he just eats more and drinks more, or buys more clothes, or goes to more parties until that feeling goes away. But soon his money runs out, and so do his friends. He ends up getting the only job he can find, feeding pigs. One day, he is so hungry and so desperate that he even tries to eat some of the pig food. What am I doing? He says suddenly, as if he's woken from a nightmare. He spits, all of it, out of his mouth. My father is rich, and here I am in a pigsty eating pig food. He wipes his mouth and dusts himself down. "I'm going home," he says. And here's a picture of him. Don't know if you can see it very well. With the pigs. And as he starts for home though, he begins to worry. "Dad won't love me anymore. I've been too bad. He won't want me for a son anymore." So he practices his "I'm sorry" speech. All this time, what he doesn't know is that day after day, his dad has been standing on his porch, straining his eyes, looking into the distance, waiting for his son to come home. He just can't stop loving him. He longs for the sound of his boy's voice. He can't be happy until he gets him back. The son is still a long way off, but his dad sees him coming. What will his dad do? Fold his arms and frown, shout, "That'll teach you," and "Just you wait, young man"? No, that's not how the story goes. The dad leaps off his porch, races down the hill, through the gap in the hedge and up the road before his son even begins his "I'm sorry" speech. His dad runs to him, throws his arms around him and can't stop kissing him. And here's the dad running towards his son. "Let's have a party," his dad shouts. "My boy's home. He ran away, I lost him, but now I have him back." Jesus told them, God is like the dad who can't stop loving his son, and people are like the son who said, "Does my dad really want me to be happy?" Jesus told people this story to show them what God is like and to show people what they are like, so they could know however far they ran, however well they hid, however lost they were, it wouldn't matter, because God's children could never run too far or be too lost for God to find them. And here's the dad hugging his son, and you can just see in the background people having a party. There we go. That's a great story, and it's a famous story that Jesus told his followers to show them what God is like. God is a God of love. Now, we get things wrong, we make mistakes, we get into trouble, but God always loves us and will always have us back, even if we try and run away from him, because we are his children. He made us, he created us, he has a plan for our lives. He wants to journey with us through our lives. He wants to show us all kinds of amazing things about his world and how much he loves us. And even if we try to ignore that or run away from that, if we get angry with God, if we don't want God in our lives, well, God still wants us and will always be there for us and will always welcome us back into his home. That's a great story, a really encouraging story. Today we looked at artificial intelligence and computers and robots. We learned that artificial intelligence is a kind of intelligence, but it's not the same as human intelligence. Humans are created by God, but AI, artificial intelligence, computers and robots are created by people. They have a degree of our intelligence, but they're not human. They're not like us. They can't make choices like we can make choices. They can only be programmed to make choices. We have the gift to make our own choices, our own decisions.
And God gives us the ability to make millions of decisions and choices throughout our lives, and some of them can be good, some of them can be bad. God gives us the gift to choose Him, to choose life, to choose His life, and to live in His ways. But whatever we choose to do, God never stops loving us. When I was really little, about maybe younger than 7 years old, I remember asking my mum as I went to bed, we were in my room, I was in bed, I said, "Mum, you talk a lot about Jesus, you talk a lot about God being in your life and how good God is, how good Jesus is. Well, I want Him in my life as well. I want whatever's good from God." And my mum said, "Well, we can pray about that and ask God into your life. Would you like that?" And I said, "Yeah, I think I would." And so my mum prayed for me there and then. I think she had a little booklet about the same size as your lab book, and it just had a prayer in the back, and we prayed that prayer together, and it went something like this. It said, "Dear God, I know I get things wrong. I know I'm not perfect, but I know that you love me and you want me to say yes to you. You want me to make a decision for you. So I want that. I want you in my life. I want to live my life for you." And maybe that's something you'd like to do today. You might want to pray that kind of prayer, or maybe it's for another day. But that's what's on offer to us, both children and grown-ups. It's a great thing. I made that decision when I was a little boy of about 7 years old, and I've never regretted it one day. It's meant I've lived a life of adventure with God. It's meant that I can enjoy this world with God. I've learned more about God and more about this world than I thought I ever would. It's a great gift to know God. Perhaps you'll choose that gift today.
Wow, what a journey we've been on this week. We've looked at robots, we've looked at animals, we've looked at the stars, we've looked at what it means to live a life of discovery, looking at the wonders of God, of science, and the natural world. I've really enjoyed this week together, and I hope you have too. We've got one final go at the memory verse. Were you able to remember it all? Let's see how you got on. Let's say the words together. I praise you because of the wonderful way you created me. Do you remember the next bit? Everything you do is amazing. Psalm 139, verse 14. I just want to say thank you for being with me. I want to say thank you to parents, grown-ups who've been watching these films with you. I want to say thank you to all the people I've interviewed for this week. We'll see you soon. Take care.